Commission meeting for July 5th. Belated happy July 4th to everybody. For those that have not had the opportunity to attend one of our fine meetings before, this is how things work. First of all, please silence your cell phones if you might, so we don't get bothered during the meeting. Second of all, after we call the roll and approve the minutes, the way things work is the city staff will present on an item, and then before we allow public commentary, we ask technical questions of the commission. Once we're done with technical questions, we open it up to the audience. If you have something to say, we ask that you step up to the microphone and state your name and address before you speak, so we have it for the minutes. And please try to keep your remarks as germane to the topic as possible. With that, let's call the roll.
Borsick.
Present.
Bowen. Tomes.
Here.
Wojtek.
Here.
Ince. Cummings.
Here.
Prop.
Here.
Lori.
Here.
Weigert. Nolenberger.
In attendance.
All right. Moving on to approval of the minutes from June 21st. Do we have any additions, corrections, deletions?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, seeing none, let's move on to item number 1. Final plat for the creation of a 21-lot single-family residential subdivision, Sunrise Estates, at the south 3400 block of West 20th Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, sir.
The applicant is requesting approval of a final plat for a single-family residential development located at the south side of the 3400 block of West 20th Avenue. Back on March 8th, the Common Council approved the preliminary plat for the same lot, and now the next step is for them to receive final plat approval. Up on the screen, I have an existing land use map, subject site, which I have platted out with all the lots right in the middle. Currently zoned R1 single-family residence, and it's currently being used agriculturally. The surrounding area is mostly agricultural in use and vacant lands, with exception to the YMCA to the east, and a multifamily retirement community to the north, and a contractor's yard to the west. Go to the next photo, which is an air photo from 2015 showing the site. The current size of the parcel is 12.41 acres and is proposed to create 21 single-family lots. The proposed lots range in size from 15,791 square feet to 31,375 square feet in size. All the proposed lots meet minimum R1 regulations in regard to width, depth, and area. The final plat also includes dedication of approximately 1.83 acres of land for right-of-way / street purposes and a 1.02 acre outlot at the northwest corner of the development for stormwater management. The proposed density is proposed to be about 1.7 units per acre, which is pretty low. R1 has a maximum density of 6 units per acre, or approximately 7,200 square feet. The two streets, or new streets, are being proposed for the development. One being Morningstar Lane, which comes off of West 20th Avenue and heads south about 957 feet and terminates with a 60-foot wide radius cul-de-sac. And a secondary street named Daybreak Lane will head east off of Morningstar with a eventual connection to Clairville Road if and when the lands to the west get developed. Staff noted that the cul-de-sac as platted is 60 feet, is a 60-foot radius cul-de-sac bulb, which is in excess of the 50-foot minimum required by the subdivision regs. Staff determined and verified that the largest radius is needed to meet the 60-foot wide lot depth or lot width requirement at the 25-foot front yard setbacks, which is why the larger radius is needed. Staff does not have any concerns for the larger bulb. The biggest result of this will be there will be larger than usual terraces for these properties on the south end, which will be approximately 12 feet wide. The Department of Public Works reviewed the availability of city utilities, and I'm not sure, but sanitary sewer will need to be extended. I believe it's either scheduled for this year or it's already occurring on West 20th Avenue, which will then head south to serve all the proposed lots. Stormwater and grading Stormwater grading and drainage plan has been submitted and approved by the Department of Public Works. And let's go to the next slide here. This is a copy of the proposed plat. All the required stormwater and drainage easements have been placed on the final plat per the Department of Public Works. The developer will need to get approval and permits from Winnebago County for the street connection onto West 20th Avenue, as West 20th Avenue / County Highway K is under county jurisdiction. The proposed street names have been approved by both city and county emergency service providers, so there's no issue with the proposed street names. Dedicated parkland has not been included on the final plat. Staff could not find adequate area, which equates to about 23,100 square feet in proposed parkland area. So staff is recommending payment in lieu of parkland dedication, which totals $4,200, which is $200 per lot at the final plat approval, and an additional $4,200 at the beginning, or at building permit issuance, which equates to $200 per home. Street lighting plan and terrace tree plans have been submitted. I've got a copy of the terrace tree plan. I have been submitted, and the electric division and city forester have not expressed any concerns with the submitted plans and meet minimum code requirements. Both the city police and fire departments have reviewed the proposed plat and have not indicated any problems to serve the proposed development, as well as the Oshkosh Area School District has been notified of the proposed plat and has not expressed any concerns to the city to be able to serve these additional housing units in this area. The area is per the City of Oshkosh Comprehensive Plan recommendation, which is single-family, or our residential land use. The proposed development is consistent with that plan, and staff is recommending approval of the 21-lot land division final plat for Sunrise Estates with 2 conditions. Oh, I forgot to mention. Go back to the plat here. On the terminus of Daybreak Lane, which will head east, which is down, the plat had a easement for a temporary cul-de-sac. The Department of Public Works reviewed that and determined that the temporary cul-de-sac is not required, so we're recommending that the temporary easement for the cul-de-sac is removed from the final plat. And the second condition is fee in lieu of parkland dedication is utilized.
All right. Great. Technical questions, Jeffrey?
Outlaw 1.
Stormwater detention.
Is that all stormwater detention?
There is some wetlands indicated at that'd be the south or northwest corner of the lot, but
So there's no green space available that can be made for the park,
no.
right?
Or nothing suitable.
All right.
Donna and then Kathy?
Well, my question was also to elaborate on the park area, because I do believe that that is a necessary thing. And would you reiterate and tell me a little more about what has been decided?
Well, based on the area, there is no adequate area to dedicate an additional park, and with staff discussions, we felt that the YMCA is immediately next door to it, so there's recreational opportunities right next door to the development, as well as Traeger School is kind of catty corner to the site, so there is area available.
The first thing we do in these instances, we reach out to the Parks Department, Ray Mauer, and we have a discussion with Ray. Does he think we need a neighborhood park in this area, or is it better for us to get the fee in lieu of? The fee in lieu of goes to park development, where we'll acquire land at some point down. We just didn't feel that there was any land here that was really suitable for parkland.
Thank you. I appreciate your explanation.
Kathy?
Question answered.
All right. David?
You talked about land usage. What is the land usage you're zoning to the south?
That
Says
is,
Southwest Industrial Park.
Okay, so
We've had this discussion, haven't we? Talked about this.
Yeah, that's
spot.
and that's
Because I
why
was thinking,
and that's why you're ending in a cul-de-sac there,
Okay.
because we're not going to connect up the two, of course.
it's an additional comment that I'll have later.
we can't wait. Any other technical questions? All right, seeing none. Anyone here from the public to speak to this item today? Come on up, sir. State your name and address and tell us what you think.
Jeff Rustick with Schuler and Associates. We prepared the plat and the engineering plans. I guess not so much comment, but I'm here to answer questions.
Any questions for the gentleman, as long as he's here?
I guess not.
All right, thank you. Anyone else here to speak to this item today? Okay, seeing none, back to the commission. David, you start off.
I'll give you a yeah, but I will support this. But my concern was what I raised, the preliminary plat. And I think that it's not particularly good planning to have residential adjacent to an industrial park. And I think take note of the editorial or letter to the editor in this weekend's Northwestern regarding the residential neighbor to adjacent to the airport industrial park, and in particular Balder, or Generac now. And I think that, you know, the proper response to him will be whatever the city and the representatives say, but I think that we should be vigilant of the same type of zoning and the protection of the tenants of our industrial park.
Thank you, David. Other thoughts, comments? I second what you said. I would agree.
Move to approve.
Second.
And second, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Borsick,
Aye.
Bowen,
Aye.
Combs,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Crop,
Aye.
Lowry,
Aye.
Nolenberger,
Aye.
Foytek.
Aye.
Carried 7.
All right. Item number 2, conditional use permit and plan development amendment for an outdoor ceremony area located at 3125 South Washburn Street.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant, B&B Catering, Inc., is requesting to expand the existing Le Sure's banquet facility to include an outdoor ceremony area, which is approximately 9,000 square feet and is located directly west of the existing banquet hall facility at 1325 South Washburn Street. Surrounding uses include the outlet shops to the north, a mini warehouse facility to the west, Bergstrom Automotive to the south, and Interstate 41 to the east. The site is currently zoned M1 Light Industrial with a planned development overlay, and the site is also located within Interstate 41 overlay district. The city's comprehensive plan recommends commercial development within the 10 and 20-year land use maps. The proposed development is currently located on a vacant lot, which you can see up on the screen. Staff is requiring that the vacant lot be combined with 3125 South Washburn Street to ensure access and adequate parking for the outdoor ceremony area. Once combined, the site will be approximately 3.7 acres, so it will include kind of an L shape here lot, and then this is the Hawthorne Suites just to the north. The proposed 9,000 square foot outdoor ceremony site will be contained within a 6-foot tall fence and will have stone pathways running throughout. A storage building is proposed to be located to the south just outside of the fenced-in ceremony site, which you can see here up on the screen, right here. The storage building will be approximately 12 feet by 28 feet in size. The outdoor ceremony site will also include an open pergola constructed of composite wood with a natural stone base and stairs, rounded pillars, and wrought iron railings. A decorative seat wall and fountain will be located west of the proposed open pergola. There was no pedestrian access included from the indoor banquet facility to the outdoor ceremony site. So staff is recommending that an identified pedestrian path be installed to ensure safety of those walking from one area to the other. The landscape plan submitted with the proposed development included a total of 34 trees and 84 shrubs. By code, the development would be required to have 3 trees and 9 shrubs. Lighting and stormwater management plans were not included within the application materials. Both will be required to meet code and will be reviewed during the site plan review process. The applicant did include some renderings, which you can see here up on the screen. Please disregard Phase 2. That's not moving forward at this time, but you can see here, here is the open pergola area, the pathways leading through. The development, existing development outdoor banquet facility is located to the east. So it's very nicely landscaped and should be a nice addition to the site. So with that, staff is recommending approval of the planned development for expansion of the existing banquet facility to include an outdoor ceremony area with the 2 conditions that were included with your packets.
All right.
Yep.
Technical question. John?
Yeah, can you go back to the site and show me, this shows 2 entrances, one on Washburn and one on Waco.
Yep, Wacaw and Washburn.
All right, so
There's no changes proposed to access to the site. They'll just be utilizing the existing facilities. And to date, there is a cross-access agreement between LaSure's banquet facility and the Hawthorne Suites
to come off of Waco.
to come off of both.
And is there going to be more parking put back there?
At this time, the applicant has not proposed any additional parking for the site.
Is there, I assume that there's no stormwater retention requirements here because he's really not putting a lot of impervious there. correct?
I don't know if Steve wants to answer anything. There is the existing pond here, which does service the facility, and I don't believe it pushes it over the required
I don't,
expansion.
it doesn't sound like there's
Yeah.
more than 50% there, and if you combine it with the other facility, it probably wouldn't, if you're combining the properties, that would be one property looked at, wouldn't it, Steve, as far as stormwater?
If the property already has stormwater, you can't add to it without doing the stormwater management components. You've already triggered the ordinance, so it'll have to get reviewed at the time. I believe originally they did have some small in their whole concept, they were looking at having a stormwater management type bioswale, biofilter type thing to manage their water for this small area, knowing that they would need it.
That water retention pond that's there, that services both Hawthorne and the Shores, doesn't it?
I am not sure off the top of my head which one. I'm not sure how it developed out here. Not familiar with the drainage plan specifically for here.
So do you think if they do phase 2, that would then trigger another review?
Most definitely, yes.
Okay. As long as that's taken into consideration. And we're not building any more parking lot or any of that kind of stuff. Assume they're going to use just the existing parking lot.
Correct, yep.
And the facility that's there.
Correct, yep.
Is large enough for
Correct, yep.
that, but, okay.
Donna?
Yes, would you please tell me the capacity of this again? I missed it.
For the ceremony site?
Yes.
It's going to be about 9,000 square feet total, about 100 feet by 90 feet.
But what would be,
Size.
the amount of people that it would be able to accommodate?
They did not indicate that within their application materials. So I'm guessing by the size, probably 200 to 300 individuals would be able to fit there.
Well, it looks absolutely beautiful. However, I do have a concern. Does the agreement that we would be going into indicate that it would only be used for ceremonies? Because this certainly could easily be turned into a performance site, and out in that direction, we do have a lot of summertime things that go on and so on, and
They just said that they were going to use it in conjunction with their existing banquet facility, so it would be used for ceremonies and those types of uses. They didn't indicate that it would be used for any type of other uses, but whether or not that would be permitted, they would be required to.
Well, if you look at page 6 of the staff report, there's a narrative that discusses use of the site, Donna. So it talks about the proposed project. Numerous wedding ceremonies and receptions are being done in outdoor facilities, an outdoor ceremony area. So that's,
Yes.
what we're approving is an outdoor ceremony area. So if they're going to move it to some other type of use, then we're going to take a look at that. And if we think it goes beyond, outside of the scope of what we're approving here, then we'll run it back through. as a use change.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Jeff, and Kathy?
It says there are 250 guests, but
Thank you.
Thank you.
one of the questions I had is, if I remember right, there's residential fairly close there.
On the other, well, you've got the mini warehouse development in between that and the
in the
condos to the
residential.
west,
Okay,
correct?
because I was concerned about, noise that may come from there. I mean, because I can see evening ceremonies, stuff like that, dusk ceremonies, early morning ceremonies. It's just, if we think that will provide the buffer, that storage area, then, I have less concern. But I didn't know if any of those residences were noticed, or if they're close enough to be noticed of this to provide input.
No,
I don't know if they're close enough.
They would have been noticed because they're not an adjacent property, so that would have been noticed at the time.
Have to abide by the
Bless-
noise
Excuse me.
ordinance.
I mean, they do have to abide by all the city noise ordinances and things like that. Those are in place. I mean, we do hear complaints about that every once in a while, that, somebody's violating that. The police.
Well, I would
involved in
assume,
that.
to Donna's point, that if
Yeah.
it was used for another venue, I mean, if they're gonna have live music out there to do with the ceremony, then they would need permits to do that anyway, because that would be above probably the ordinance noise levels.
I mean, you could, if there's a concern about music and noise, you could limit that. I'd like to hear from the applicant when it comes to that, but you could put a limitation, no outdoor noise or something like that. I don't see any discussion in here about that particular issue, so.
Well, it's not only noise, but it's, lights if they have evening ceremony, something like that.
Lights, I don't think lights.
But
would be-
again, lighting is gonna be subject to,
What?
our
Yep.
ordinances anyway.
So, realistically, the only issue you're gonna have is gonna be with noise. So if you got a band back there or anything like that, yeah, potentially you could run into a noise issue. But at the same time, you got a hotel right next to you. You don't want to be disturbing your guests that are there at any point either. So you're weighing both those things, and we have the ordinance that's out there. But again,
Right.
if there's that much of a concern, we can always.
No, I just wanted to bring it up to see.
No,
if you
it's a
guys,
good thing to
had
discuss.
talked about it at all with the applicant.
Kathy?
I'm a little bit confused. The back parking lot is not going to be constructed, so the only way to access this new facility would be through the Schurz Banquet Hall, literally walking through the banquet hall. Because
Actually,
it
there,
looks like there's not a sidewalk.
there is or parking in the rear. So the access off of West Waukah here, there's parking here.
Existing parking.
Existing
Oh, okay.
parking and existing parking here as well. And then there are pedestrian pathways that go adjacent on the south side of the Schurz Banquet Facility. So that's why we indicated we wanted to see some type of pedestrian connection from the proposed ceremony site to that pedestrian sidewalk, and then they could walk alongside the building to the
Okay,
front.
all right, that's my question.
Other technical questions?
I will add that when I'm looking at some of the questions that they answered on the application, they did say, and this is just from the application, there should be no significant noise effects on adjacent properties. So,
All right. Anyone here from the public speak to this item today? Come on up, sir. State your name and address. Tell us what you think, and be prepared to answer any questions we may have.
I'm Bob Heisler, one of the Schurz and B&B Catering. Basically, this is just going to be strictly for ceremony area, and it's strictly for the banquet hall that I'm just trying to, obviously, get more weddings in the banquet hall. Eventually, Plan B would be, or phase number 2 would be, I might put another outdoor facility and then include the parking. But right now, it's just strictly the ceremony area. And it won't be for bands or anything like that, I can tell you that.
Do we have questions? All right, thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Anyone else here to speak to this item today? Okay, back to the commission.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, call the roll.
Borsick,
Aye?
Bowen,
Aye.
Combs,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye?
Lori,
Aye.
Nolenberger.
Aye.
Wojtek.
Aye.
Carried 7.
All right, moving on, item number 3, approval of a Stevens Park neighborhood plan.
Okay, thank you. All right, so staff is requesting approval of the Stevens Park Neighborhood Plan. This is the third plan that has been completed under the Healthy Neighborhoods Initiative. This particular plan focuses on the area bounded by Washington Avenue on the north, Bone Street on the west, the Fox River on the south, and Lake Winnebago on the east. Over the last few years, the neighborhood has begun to see some signs of transition as long-term residents move out and new homeowners move in. And because of that, the Neighborhood Association has developed many partnerships to enhance the existing assets within their neighborhood to provide stabilization. So this is one of the oldest areas of Oshkosh. It was developed kind of when the community itself developed. There's a lot of rich history that has been documented throughout the plan. And if you had a chance to read through it, it does provide a brief history, followed by a snapshot of the neighborhood's current demographic profile, and a list of the assets and opportunities that were identified throughout the planning process. The plan also outlines 8 priority areas, which are community building, housing, land use, transportation, economic development, utilities and community facilities, natural and cultural resources, and intergovernmental cooperation. Each individual section explores each focus area, assesses the current conditions, and provides goals, objectives, and specific actions to help achieve the intended goal. The purpose of this review is for the Plan Commission to make a determination that the proposed goals and objectives within the Stevens Park Neighborhood Plan are consistent with the city's 2005 to 2025 comprehensive plan, official maps, and other planning objectives of the city. So the Planning Services Division, in partnership with the Stevens Park Neighborhood Association, worked together for about a year to develop this plan. And it serves as kind of multiple purposes, which are to educate both the city government and neighborhood residents about each other's concerns and visions for the future. It also promotes collaboration between the city, the neighborhood, and local public, private, and nonprofit organizations. And it provides pride of place within the community by identifying and developing the assets within each neighborhood. It initiates change rather than simply reacting to it by addressing specific issues and opportunities. And it strengthens the city by improving the quality of life in the neighborhood. Prior to council's consideration, this plan is being reviewed by the Plan Commission, and it was also showcased at a public open house on July 13th, where area residents actually presented the plan to those in attendance, and it was very well received at that time. So with that, staff is recommending approval of the Stevens Park Neighborhood Plan, together with a finding that the identified goals and objectives are not in conflict with the City of Oshkosh's comprehensive plan. And I'd be happy to answer any specific questions that you might have had after reviewing the plan.
Great, thank you, Liz. Technical questions? Looks very nice to me, very thorough. Other thoughts from the commission? Okay, anyone here from the public to speak to this item today? Come on up, sir.
Ron Hanchy, 52 Eveline Street. I'm the coordinator for the Stevens Park Neighborhood Association, so I'm here to address any questions that you may have.
Questions? Gabby?
No questions, just a comment. The plan looks great, and I can see a lot of work put into this plan, so.
It took us about a year, about 6 or 7 meetings.
I
That's all?
appreciate it.
That's all?
Is that all?
Well, Stevens Park Neighborhood Association primarily does not meet November through February. And our meeting place, of course, is the Otter Street Fishing Club. So we meet regularly the other months, once a month.
Any other questions or comments for the petitioner? Very good. Yeah, thank you very much, sir. thanks to everybody who worked on this. Anyone else from the audience here today for this one? Okay, seeing none, back to the commission. Discussion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
Borsick,
Aye.
Bowen,
Aye.
Tomes,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Crop,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Nolenberger,
Aye.
Wojtek.
Aye.
Carried 8.
All right, item number 4, conditional use permit and plan development amendment for a public utility structure or water tower located in the 400 block of Marion Road.
Thank you. All right. So there are actually two requests or two actions within this request. The first is a 2-lot land division certified survey map from one existing parcel containing a total of 2.19 acres. The second is a conditional use permit plan development approval for the construction of a new public utility water tower and associated equipment structures. So I'll start by giving an overview of the property and then explain the two actions separately. So the subject site is located in within the Marion Road redevelopment area. This portion was designated as Parcel I and is located on the 400 block of Marion Road, roughly between Pearl Avenue on the north, the former Morton's Pharmacy on the east, the vacant Lamico Industrial Complex and existing Marion Road Water Tower on the west, and the Rivers Multifamily Development on the south. The subject site is zoned C3 with a plan development overlay. I can see there's the area map zoning uses, and then just the aerial shot of the subject site. So action 1 includes a 2-lot land division of a single parcel containing a total of 1.9 acres. Proposed lot 1 would be 0.77 acres in size and is the northern quadrant of the original parcel and is the subject of the plan development approval, also included as a request within this action or item. Proposed lot 2 comprises the bulk of the parent parcel and is the larger of the 2 lots proposed at 1.41 acres in size. The lots are both zoned C3 PD. Proposed lot 1 is currently vacant, and proposed lot 2 contains portions of parking lot pavement from the adjacent development to the east. Both lots include various public and private utility easements, which are indicated on the proposed CSM. The proposed lot configuration meets the requirements of the city's subdivision regulations, and staff does not have concerns with the proposed parcel configuration. However, during staff review, it was noted that the existing sanitary sewer located on proposed lot 1 and the existing parking lot pavement located on the east side of proposed lot 2 should be included on the final CSM. Okay. And then I'll move on to the actual plan development request, or action 2. It includes the development of a 750,000 gallon water tower, 400 square foot telecommunications enclosure, and a single access drive. The structures and designs were a result of committee meetings which began in 2015 and included input on the proposed landscaping, decorative fencing, enclosures, and tower exterior painting design, which included discussions on whether the tower should be painted in an iconic paint scheme or the new city logo. The proposed development is located directly east of the existing Marion Road Water Tower, which will remain in operation while the proposed development takes place. Once the proposed water tower has been commissioned, the existing tower to the west will be demolished and the site restored to the future or for future development. Vehicular access for the development is proposed to be provided from a single driveway entering on the east side of proposed lot 1 from an existing parking lot which serves the adjacent development, as you can see here. The driveway will be approximately 16 feet in width and flares out in front of the telecommunications enclosure to approximately 40 feet to accommodate a single 9-foot by 18-foot parking space. The C3 zoning district does not have off-street parking requirements for non-residential uses, so there is no minimum amount of parking required by code. However, with this action, cross-access easements or agreements will be needed to ensure access to the proposed development and will need to be included on the final CSM. The proposed water tower is a spheroid design. I think I've got some examples here. An example of what it will look like. It is proposed to be 176 feet in height, and the proposed water tower height does exceed the county's air overlay zoning height restrictions by about 2.01 feet. However, the applicant has worked with the Federal Aviation Administration and obtained a determination that the proposed height does not create a hazard to air navigation. Staff has included a copy of the FAA determination letter for your review. The proposed exterior water tower design includes a solid white painted base and bulb with the newly redesigned city logo centered on the bulb. The top of the proposed water tower includes a 10-foot antenna screen, which will shield mechanical equipment and antennas from view. The proposed telecommunications enclosure is planned to be approximately 20 feet wide by 20 feet deep, or 400 square feet in size, and meets all setback and dimensional standards. The overall height of the proposed telecommunications enclosure is approximately 9 feet. The exterior, which you can see on the boards over here, is proposed to include a split-face concrete block knee wall with a 4.5-foot band of brick veneer at the top. The southwest facing facade contains 2 entry doors and 2 wall-mounted HVAC units, and the three remaining facades are broken up by glass block windows. Staff is recommending that the wall-mounted HVAC units be colored to match or complement the building's exterior facade color. Go back to the landscape plan. The landscape plan was submitted with the proposal, and it includes a number of shrubs and trees located throughout the perimeter of the site. The C3 zoning district does not require landscaping, but staff did evaluate the proposed landscape plan against the code requirements for other commercial districts. A total of 8 trees and 61 shrubs were proposed, and only 1 tree and 4 shrubs would be required based on the side of the proposal, or the proposed development. The proposed development area is contained by an 8-foot tall wrought iron fence with split-face concrete block and brick columns to mimic the design of the telecommunications enclosure. Lighting and stormwater management plans will be required to meet code and will be further reviewed during the site plan review process. And with that, staff is recommending approval of both requests, which request A was the 2-lot land division, and the only condition for that is that existing sanitary sewer located on proposed lot 1 and the existing pavement located on the east side of proposed lot 2 should be included on the final CSM. And then the request B, conditional use permit for the water tower. The first condition is cross-access easement agreements are provided between the subject property and the property to the east, not west, for both driveways and drive aisle. And wall-mounted HVAC units on the telecommunications enclosures are colored to match or complement the building's exterior facade color.
All right, thank you. Technical questions, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm a little confused. When we spoke at this a long time ago, and even before this came up, we had talked about extending Riverway Drive all the way through to get better access to those apartments so it doesn't come off Jackson all the time and create a problem. I'm assuming that we're vacating that now because this development will basically butts up to Riverway Drive.
This Riverway Drive can extend by it in the future. We're leaving that 60-foot corridor open. We'll essentially be developing what would be the frontage of it with fence, leaving the space, yes, right along that red line, the edge of the actual site needed for the water tower.
Then that gets me to my second question, is then why doesn't the access to the drive aisle come off of Riverway Drive rather than go through the parking lot of a commercial business that exits off onto Jackson Street? I would assume that partly it's because the infrequency. that
This
you
is
would
going to
have
be just
somebody
for
there.
the access that's coming off the internal parking lot is for a single access vehicle for a maintenance worker to get
Right.
there to check in. The main construction access is going to come off Riverway Drive. You can see there is the gate that's kind of fronted to Riverway. That's where the heavy construction, everything's going to come up. That's where we're set to go future for any heavy maintenance type activities. But for just the routine day-to-day activities that go in and out with a normal sized vehicle, and the telecommunications to access to the east.
So Steve, right now it's proposed that the access to the east is for a temporary basis until such time that Riverway Drive is improved all the way through, and then you'll create a drive on Riverway Drive to access this property?
I don't know that I would say it's temporary. It's just meant for the day-to-day activities, not the high-volume construction type activities. Steve,
Did we talk to the property owner of that property to see if they were okay in granting that cross access? I mean,
Well,
we don't have a right to force them to do it.
there actually already is a cross-access through there for all the units. It needs to be amended essentially to include this new parcel.
Yeah, we already have cross-access that includes that overall parcel, but because.
No,
it's-
I remember that, but this is a new parcel.
Mm-hmm.
We're asking them then to grant access. My question, if I were them, would say, well, why don't you access it off of Riverway Drive, which this property abuts up next to, which makes sense to me, because that Riverway Drive isn't really through anybody's parking lot. You know, it goes to the back end of, I think, Accurate.
No, Accutron.
Accutron.
Yeah.
I think
So
our
that
other,
would be my question, and if our plans were to extend that road, it makes sense for that access to come off there.
and I guess the question is, if that is going to be extended, we're not sure if it's going to break and head to the northwest off of there at some point in time and wrap the backside of that apartment. I think without the known plans, this gives us our access for construction, so we're not impacting the development there with the heavy construction activity or any of the heavy maintenance activities, and then leaves our basic day-to-day off of the internal drive. And if things change in the future, it can certainly be amended. We'll have a gate over there, and if it makes sense, I don't think anyone here is going to be necessarily opposed to that amendment, changing the gate that gets locked and opened up. It's just a matter of what works now.
To our knowledge, nobody's expressed any concern about with the proposal at this point either.
Donna?
As far as,
Donna?
Okay. Does the present water tower have any telecommunications towers?
antennas, correct, it does.
It does. And how will the new one be in comparison to what we have now?
Behind that screen on top. So that's where they'll be located. I don't know if we got do we have an existing
I'm going to
photo?
introduce Linda Moore. She's with CH2 Hill, pardon me, for the, she's been our consultant doing the design, so I'll let her field those questions.
Hello. Right now, there are two telecommunication companies with leases on the Marion Road Tower. One is T-Mobile and one is Sprint. And they both plan to relocate and have their at-grade equipment and antennas relocated to the new tower. And the antennas now are located on the legs of the multi-leg tower. And we've worked with them to move them to one location on the top of the tower. And we've found a specialty company that constructs and engineers these screens to hide these mechanical-looking devices on top of water towers.
And I'm sorry if I didn't hear correctly, but these will be the same strength as they are on the old tower? They're not going to update and get more stronger?
More megahertz, more bandwidth,
Right,
whatever.
right, yes.
To my knowledge, no, they all have their set angles and azimuths and power and frequency. And that hasn't been discussed about being changed. The one change that we are leaving provisions for in the design is room at grade for a third telecommunications company to come in. And there's space on the top of the tower to accommodate more antenna.
Well, this causes me a pause, because we have just down Jackson, the city police department that already has a lot of communication going on. And across the road, we are now building multi-residential areas. We have 3 apartment complexes, and it causes me some concern that we are placing all of these frequencies. Do you have updates to the health effects of all of these radio waves and the concerns for the people living in those areas?
I personally do not. Steve, do you want to make a comment about that?
Sure. Steve Brand, I'm the utility manager. We just recently got an update to those antennas. T-Mobile is a fairly new, fairly new to our water towers. They went in, I think, 2 years ago on our current tower. And the Sprint just recently upgraded their equipment within the last 2 to 3 years. So we have the current technologies out there, and I've seen studies. I've seen a lot of the work that's been done on the concerns about the radio waves and things like that. And based on the information that I've seen, I don't know that there's any known health effects from any of these types of things. And these are a lot less concerned, I think, than people that are near high tension power lines and things like that. So I know there's been a lot of work done on that. A lot of studies have been done on that. I'm not aware of anything that's come out to find any concerns about that. So that's just based on the information I've read.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate your input, but I'm afraid my concerns are such that I will not support this until I see some sort of documentation that it is safe, in that we do have, as I said, the sheriff's, or I'm dating myself, the Oshkosh Police Department down there, and I do have a lot of concerns about it. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
I know we went through this with the hotel down there that was putting in radio on to increase. There was a suspicion, this is a couple of years ago, that they actually wanted to increase the number of towers they have there because of the density of population and the more requirement for data. And we went through that medical issue. We talked to them about that, and they gave us several pieces of information that said that this type of radio wave doesn't cause any issues. I would look at it then, I understand the health concerns, but it also, as we start to develop that whole Riverwalk area, the demand for data is going to increase. It's not going to decrease, it's going to increase. And giving us another viable place where we can actually put another provider or additional that's screened and is designed and built that way is a positive thing for me, because we're going to be faced with that as these carriers come back and say, oh, I have more data requests because there's more and more people moving downtown, or there's more people using those towers because of the foot traffic or whatever it is, businesses or residential, because we're putting a lot there. When you look at the development of the Morgan property, you're talking hundreds and hundreds of apartments and hundreds of commercial type people down there using all this data. We need to provide those places like this for those antennas that are not visible screen, but keep up with the data requirements. If we don't, you aren't gonna get anybody moved down there.
And the one thing I would add to that is the state is really making it, they're making it so that local communities can't, they're almost unregulating the location of these structures. So if we don't get it here in a controlled environment, we're probably looking at somewhere else and not shielded, not
We
screened.
went through that with the
things
tower
like that.
over by, off of Jackson with the tower that they wanted to put there. We had very limited ability to say no or even limit to what they were doing because of the state statutes.
So the reality is you're not going to see less antennas. You're not going to see less towers. That's just the way the state's going, the way society is going. If and we've not seen a body of evidence. I know there's people out there that do think it. I understand that, but there's just not an overwhelming body of evidence that shows that that at least we've been presented with, that shows that these are a detriment. I do hear the arguments. I've seen them. They're just, scientifically, I don't think we've seen anything convincing.
Other technical questions? Steve?
Is this a point to ask about the logo? I thought there was a committee that was going to look at different designs for the water tower, and how did we arrive at using the updated city logo?
Linda's here. She can talk about that.
What we've got shown on the construction drawings and what you're looking at now was the preferred image of the stakeholder committee. We looked at a number of ideas. There's a display board. It's up on the floor over there, and at our last stakeholder committee meeting, we voted on what stakeholders preferred. And the stakeholders were involved in this process for about 15 months, and they understood that they could provide input to the aesthetics of the project, but that the final determination was going to be made by the City of Oshkosh Common Council. But
What one was chosen?
by a slight margin, and meeting minutes are posted on the city's website, but there was a slight preference for the City of Oshkosh logo with the blue underside, what we called the mask.
Number 3.
Number two?
Number 3.
Number 3. And the purpose for number 3, or that dark blue color underneath, is if you've observed towers across the state, you know that these types of towers form condensation on the underside. They're shady. They can tend to mildew and get sort of ashy and dark colored, and it costs about $100,000 to get them pressure washed and cleaned. So for practical reasons, you're seeing more and more towers of this type have an underside of the bowl of the tower painted a dark color. So if the city at this point wanted a different image and a different paint scheme, that could be determined by Common Council or this body or the Redevelopment Authority. Our purpose was to get input from the stakeholders who represented a cross-section of the community. And some of the things we heard from them was that it would be good to blend in with the neighborhood. It should be something that we can live with for 80 years. There was good debate. There was lots of examples shown of different types of exterior paint designs that other communities have used. For the water utilities' practical purpose, we want the tower to be attractive and to represent the community, but the final finish design is of less importance than other aspects of the project. So if, for example, there was a change in the final painting design, we would have, with our construction contractor, money in his bid for this design, from which if we needed to negotiate some sort of change order because Common Council decided to paint in another direction, we could negotiate a change once that decision had been made.
And so Linda raises a good point. We could, I mean, you can move forward with this logo, or you can move forward with an alternate, and we could still have a discussion if the council, plan commission thought that we needed to explore other ideas with what to do with the bulb, a la the iconic, the one that comes to mind in the area is the Rosemont Horizon. If everybody's seen the Rosemont Horizon, it's a big rose. If we wanted to go that direction to explore other routes, there's still time. There's still time to discuss this. They just need to move forward and start getting the plans ready to bid this thing and get that tower up and operational. Painting is, like I said, bid it with the first option with the logo. We can still have a discussion if the community thinks that we need to have any further discussions on what should be up in that bulb.
So the council will have final approval on this whole. I'm perfectly willing to defer to the 15 months of work some people have done, plus the council. But that's just me. I'm not a designer. Other technical questions?
That's why you have me.
Right. Anyone here from the public speak this item today? There's no one here from the public left. All right, back to the commission. Commentary? Jeff?
Yeah, in terms of painting, I mean, you got a stakeholders group that kind of come up with this design. I have no reason to say anything against what they've come up with. I mean, so I'll be in support of this. We need this particular area. I like the idea of covering some, antennas and having additional antennas. I know we talked about, at least covering antennas that we have, but being able to put some additional capacity down there, which we're gonna be faced with in the not too distant future, makes some sense.
Kathy?
I like the logo that's chosen, and I understand why the dark colored underneath makes real sense. So,
Other comments? Is there a motion?
Move for approval?
Second.
Second, any discussion on the motion? With conditions?
With conditions.
Seeing none, let's call the roll.
Borzak,
Aye.
Bowen,
Aye.
Holmes,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye. Aye.
Prop,
hi.
Lori. Schollenberger. Wojtek.
Aye.
Carried 7-1.
All right, anything else today? You said the workshop is no-go?
Yeah, we're still gonna keep that on. David didn't have, we're putting that on as a placeholder each time. Because when David was on vacation, I wanted to make sure in case he could hustle up and get something done for the day, put it on. If not, we'll have the workshop. So
Okay,
we're
no
just gonna
workshop.
keep it on as placeholder.
Okay.
Do you have any other business for us?
Uh,
Go ahead, Donna.
I would just ask that this is, the towers have come in, it would be nice for me personally if we would just have a planning commission that you could perhaps get some information that's current, on all of these towers, because from time to time, I'm sure they'll be coming up again, and that might be a good workshop for us.
On the towers?
On the telecommunication.
Oh, telecommunication.
Yes, because we do understand that in the future, there will be more demands. So I think that this committee and commission should know what's current.
Sure, we can do that.
Thank you.
That's an easy one, Donna. There's pretty much nothing we do. So, but yeah,
It's illegal for us to say no to anything, so.
That's right. Thank you.
there's some options. Not
Other commentary or thoughts?
Just one comment. I think what the presentation here is great. This is what we've been looking for. Show us the landscaping. The photos are great. We know what's going in other than just a bush. The materials, the brick and so forth. That gives us a good idea of what we're actually approving as far as a final.
Anything else?
Those are not daffodils.
Any movement to adjourn, perhaps?
So moved.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Carried.
This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly.